Welcome to the March 15th, 2022 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Dracologist. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome. Yeah, and we have another wonderful show here for you. A lot of interesting things happened this week, in terms of video games, a lot of other things spilling over, but we have a lot of interesting stuff because Sony had their State of Play, which is, basically their version of Nintendo Direct, and it looked like there's some really interesting stuff. One thing in particular I'm really excited about, and you could probably guess it if you watched it. Old games always make Vise excited, especially stuff that normally we wouldn't get access to. So I'm very excited about that, but we'll talk more about that. But first and foremost, we want to give an update for our friends that are being directly affected by the Ukraine war. Krikzz of the Everdrive fame has successfully fled Ukraine. And last we heard, he was in Moldova, safe and sound, and on his way to Moldova. I'm sorry, and on his way to Spain.
This is something I think the update actually came out before our last podcast went live. So yeah. He's been out of the hot seat for a while now, but we didn't know that until after we recorded.
I guess he managed to get through the. He was not considered to be conscript worthy.
What was that? I'm sorry.
He was not considered what now?
Conscript.
Oh, you mean for fighting? Well, yeah, fighting's not for everyone.
Not.
And he also has a young child, so I'm sure whatever choice he makes for that.
Yeah, he made a post on the internet about it, so it's not like he's dodging or anything like that. So yeah, I guess he's not been conscripted.
Nobody should be conscripted, but
yeah, but even so, if it's a thing,
I don't think they're drafting in Ukraine. I don't think that's a thing. Officially anyway.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I'm staying out of that. But I'm just happy he's safe. Selfishly, because he's a good person and also a brilliant designer. I think it was good that he and his family are good and safe. I wish him all the luck, and I hope that wherever he settles, it's good for him. So,
same.
That's what's important to me. I don't even care whether his business continues or anything like that. I just want him to be safe and good.
Mm-hmm.
And we also got an update from SRG 320, Sergey
Dvodnenko.
He is the developer of the Saturn Mr. core. He is. Last we heard from him, he is safe, but he is in an occupied territory. So. We do continue to hope for his safety during this because who knows what can happen, but we just hope that he's okay. So he's continuing to be okay as far as we know. So let's hope it stays that way, or at least he leaves if he can. And that's all I had to say on that. I just wanted to give an update on our the people within the community that we know of and follow. Now, Sony's State of Play was pretty darn interesting. I mean, they showed some new footage of God of War, which is of course going to be a gigantic hit. I can't imagine a world in which that game isn't very good. You don't think it's going to be good?
I am always very, very skeptic from AAA games. You always have to be careful around these things. They could bumble it up very, very badly.
That is true, but
there's a good track record with this.
I was going to say the weakest God of War in the series was probably Ascension, and it was still okay. I loved PS4 God of War. My main complaint is that almost every boss in the game was big troll. Like, God of War is
Samey.
mostly known for its crazy boss fights, and the PS4 game didn't really push that, but I suspect Ragnarok might.
Well, I'm excited for it. I mean, I haven't had the chance to play the one before it, which I could probably get on that. But
usually a bigger encounter is big troll wielding like a big heavy blunt object, and you're like, oh, it's a different color troll this time. Like, but like the game outside of that is brilliant, and there's no loading screens like ever unless you die.
Well, probably the more interesting thing, like I don't count that as like this game as super interesting because like I know like it's a known quantity. I'm more interested in like brand new stuff. I'm not gonna go over every single title here, but like ones that I thought were like particularly relevant to our tastes and audience. But Capcom is coming out with a new like squad based first person shooter. It looks like called Exoprimal.
Oh, this was the biggest troll reveal I've seen in a while. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, I think people thought that it might be like Dino Crisis related.
Yeah, you see a red-haired woman fighting a dinosaur, and you're like,
right,
no way, and it's just not that.
I mean, it might be in the same universe or something. We don't know.
It's a spiritual successor at best. It is not a Dino Crisis universe game. But like people got so mad, it was the funniest thing.
I mean, the Dino Crisis universe barely exists to begin with. I mean,
there's 4 games.
I mean, the first 2 games like are related but very different from each other, and then the third game is like unrelated entirely.
The game that's called 3 is unrelated. The third game is Dino Stalker. It's like a Resident Evil gun survivor game, and that actually is a direct follow up to Dino Crisis 2, much to my surprise.
Oh, really? Oh, well,
I was not expecting that. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like like Dino Crisis 3 is only called that because it had dinosaurs in it, and they're not even dinosaurs; they're mutants. So
it makes me think of how some of the Die Hard movies, like they weren't Die Hard movies, but they gave them the name. It's like it's a Die Hard movie now.
The last 3 of them, I think.
3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, 3, 4, and 5. 5 was bad.
Number? Yeah. Just looking at the pictures, I'm thinking like, okay, hope you like the pump gun numbers into Tyrannosaurus Rexes.
Yeah, and I don't, so oh well. But it was just funny to me that the trailer is like, it's totally Dino Crisis, and then it's not Dino Crisis.
Moving on from that, they showed a new trailer for Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin.
With another, like, classic, like, 90s piece of music in it. We're like, alright.
Another Mortis theme.
Yeah, I mean, what is this? It's a multiplayer co-op experience. I don't know. I don't have much faith for like Square Enix's like side projects. Like they kind of tend to like fall flat in their face. So
my prediction is this game's going to be pretty good. Like not great. Okay. I think it'll be pretty good. It's just that the trailers are making it just one meme after another.
Yeah, I don't have much going on it, so it's okay.
Like you're just like angry dad who wants to kill chaos, and I don't even know if your character's actually a father, but you're just an angry dad.
Oh, so is that why it seems like it's I guess related to Final Fantasy 1 chaos, right?
Well, yeah, it's called Final Fantasy Origin, and you're fighting chaos, and that's the boss of FF1. Yeah, like I think it's just a crazy reinterpretation.
Wow.
That like the whole character gives off vibes on the time when the type of characters existed in like times games like what was that, Infamous and Prototype.
Yeah, like PS3 era titles. Yeah, you're like a muscle shirt wearing badass who beats up dudes, but it's a Final Fantasy game.
This is why it's going to be interesting. It's either going to be brilliant Crash or very, very odd Crash.
Yeah, it's funny because you're the protagonist of like any PS3 360 game. But it's now. It's 2022, and it's a Final Fantasy title.
Well, moving on, there was a Gundam game called Gundam Evolution, but it's a 6v6,
hero shooter.
Yeah, I don't really care much about that.
It's one of those like arcade-looking titles.
Over.
Someone on my Twitter was like extremely hyped about that. Like that like it's not my kind of game, but that is really awesome. And people have been like the people who are interested in this kind of thing have been waiting for this for a while, but it just doesn't happen to be in my realm of interest.
Yeah, it kind of seems like almost like Anarchy Reigns or something like that. You know, like an arena.
I think I might have actually. I don't know if this is a port or a new game that plays similarly, but I've seen these machines at MagFest where you have the players sitting on opposite sides of each other, and it's this big arena experience. It's the kind of thing you'd see at Dave & Buster's. Like Dave and Buster's doesn't have this game, but it's the kind of thing you would see at it. And
round one.
It looks really cool. It's just not my thing.
Round one would be.
I'm sorry. Round one. Yeah, you're right. Round one. My fault.
More of a kind of.
If you want mech games that are not related to Gundam and not multiplayer only, I recommend Vortec Fighters, Nimbus, and Mass Builder.
Good stuff, because I actually haven't heard of those.
Yeah.
Because like everything is Gundam. Although I've been getting into Armored Core recently, but
Like if I had a better rig, I would be playing the ton out of Mass Builder. I'm trying to censor myself because. Well, anyway,
this isn't my Let's Play channel. I don't care.
I've been swearing on swears a lot, so I'm trying to cut back. But yeah, Mass Builder is pretty good, and it's basically one part of the game is building your own mech, its own equipment, putting like details on it, and the best thing is like it's almost like having a virtual Gunpla kit.
Oh, that's okay. That's it. Because I was gonna say Armored Core, you build your own mech, but like virtual Gunpla, that's very different.
And like you actually do mecha, not mech. That like not BattleTech like mech.
Sure.
You anime mech.
Okay. Oh, by the way, real quick, Vice, do you know what Gunpla is?
No, I don't.
It's Gundam model kits. It's called It's called Gunpla because it's like Gundam and then
plastic.
Yeah, plastic. Yeah. Like,
okay, gotcha.
Japan has a thing with those.
I mean, I've made those models before. I just didn't know what.
You just didn't know the word. Yeah, Japan does that sometimes, like with its portmanteaus, where it like combines the words but shortens both.
Yeah, it's funny that it's like specific to Gundam.
Well, because that's. I mean, there are other things, but. It's Gundam.
I mean, they have similar sets for like Mega Man character.
And I've seen Armored Core as well. There's Armored Core like build the kits yourselves, which is pretty cool. But like, Gundam is by far the biggest game in town.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that. I gotcha.
Anyway, you can customize a lot of things, and recently it had an update. I just couldn't really get into it because for some reason it like clocks up my video card to like 70 and 80 Celsius, and that's not healthy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But damn, it's a good game. Like you can spend hours just tweaking the small little details on your mech, and you can pick
see, that would drive me nuts.
Yeah, that's not my thing, but I get it. It makes me think of like Animal Crossing, where you make your house just so, but this time you're building like a robot kit. That sounds pretty kick-ass.
It does. But it would still drive me nuts.
And it's specifically designed that your parts do not really have stats to it, so you can completely go.
Cool! So you can
that's something I actually like because like that's been a complaint in a lot of RPGs for over a decade, where like the best armor in the game is not the one that you find most fashionable.
Yeah. Endgame is fashion, right? But
yeah, that's one thing I like about. I think the newer Monster Hunters might have done this. Is like you just take the aspects of a piece of equipment, but you just apply it to like the one that you like the look of the best.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Or Bloodborne, where like there are stats, but they mostly don't matter. They're all pretty much the same, so just fuck it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. Moving on from that, this is the thing I was alluding to that I'm really excited about, and I think a lot of other retro gaming fans are excited about. So the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection.
I haven't been excited about a Konami release like this in a while, because Konami's been really good about releasing collections of their old classics.
They've been oddly good about it.
And just by coincidence, I'm not a big Castlevania guy, I'm not a big Contra guy, but like, people want these games and they've been trapped for a while, and it's really cool that they're being released. Ninja Turtles, though, like, I'm not into all of them, but I'm definitely more interested.
So, this collection is very special in particular. So, it has every single console and portable, and arcade game, of the Konami 8-bit and 16-bit era, and all the versions.
Yeah, like this is like pre-Nickelodeon, so like this is like our childhood Turtles, basically.
So, that includes, the only game from this era that is not included from Konami is the DOS game that nobody likes. So, do not worry about that one.
It's like the Mega Man collection. Where's Mega Man 1 and 3 on PC? Like, you don't want those.
Yeah, no, that game is garbage.
And they have the same ending screen, by the way. Did you know that?
Oh no, I'm not talking about the DOS. Are you talking about the DOS version of the
DOS
NES?
DOS Mega Man 1 and DOS Mega Man 3.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, they have the same ending screen.
No, what I was talking about is like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the Manhattan Files or something like that. It's called something like that.
Well, you know what they also need is that, like, it's not Tiger Electronics, because I think it was actually Konami branded, but that little handheld game.
Yeah. No, that was actually made by Konami. That was a Konami LCD game.
Yeah, it looks like Tiger, but it's really not. Yeah,
exactly. Let me see here. It was called, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video games. I forget what it was called.
Well, whatever. Just go. I'll look it up. You just go through the list.
Manhattan Missions. I'm sorry.
Missions. Okay.
Yeah. That game is garbage.
Not to be confused with Manhattan Project, which is included.
So yeah, let me go over
each and every
good
Duke Nukem game.
What was that?
Manhattan Project. That was a good Duke Nukem game.
Oh yeah.
I forgot. That was also you're right. I haven't played that one.
So first of all, it has both arcade beat 'em up titles, the original arcade game and Turtles in Time, and
this is something I did not expect, because I saw they had the console versions.
Yes.
Like, okay, I guess they made a choice, but no, it's both.
Yeah. Not only that, but in previous releases, I think they've had music rights complications where they've like either replaced a music track or two. It appears like the music that they played during the trailer is actually one of the songs that was missing in one of the re-releases of these. So I think they might be completely intact.
Well, actually, you mentioned music. I was not aware of this. But speaking of completely intact, do we have Pizza Hut?
That I doubt.
Because you know what would be great is if the new collection came with the Pizza Hut coupon. Wouldn't that be something?
It would be, but if anybody could make it happen, it would be Viacom, or Warner Brothers, whatever, AT&T, whatever that company, that conglomerate is that owns Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the moment. Which is actually pretty funny because I guess they could be DC Comics even though they're IDW. The arcade games, the original arcade game hasn't had a re-release since the 360 days when TMNT came out, the movie. And it was, I think it did have a single track removed, but it was kind of an okay port. It wasn't that great. But Turtles in Time, the arcade version, hasn't had a release since the GameCube and was heavily compromised. The music wasn't correct. The music was substituted, and also it was a kind of a bad port. So the Turtles in Time arcade game hardly ever gets a re-release, and this is like a wide release. It's not even an obscure kind of
You know what's kind of funny is I don't know if I've ever beaten Turtles in Time on SNES. I actually forgot if I did or not, and I've certainly never beaten TMNT the arcade game on NES, but I've actually beaten both on arcades.
Well, you could credit feed them, right?
You can, but it's still like I had the opportunity to do that.
yeah, that is true.
Like when do you run into like Turtles the arcade game?
Well, moving on from that, all of the NES games, and I do mean all of them. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original infamous kind of game, has great music.
With the choral.
Has great music, but is very odd game, and very difficult and kind of janky. But a classic because everybody owned it at the time. And I love the music, though. Like, I could listen to that music all day long. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, which is, like it says, the NES adaptation of the arcade game. It is only 2 players, just like the original version of this NES one. That's the I should specify the arcade games are 4-player. All the NES games are 2-player. But what was cool about this is they added a couple levels. They added the snow level. Yeah. And there was one more level, I think the sewer, that they added to this where you fight Baxter Stockman. I think that's or there's one more level that they made.
It was the
it was a Technodrome
it was
level.
I think it was like the dojo level.
Oh, dojo level. Okay, that makes sense. Now what was cool about the extra levels in this is that they came up with some original characters. There was like a polar bear that they fought at the end of it wasn't a polar bear, it was like
a wolf guy.
White wolf, yeah. That was pretty cool. He was in a leather coat, so that was pretty neat. This is one of my favorite games to play as a child. You know, the arcade version might be more bombastic and look cooler, but this game just I think had a lot of skill involved in trying to beat the NES version. The console versions tend to be more skill-based because they want you to actually be able to beat them, typically. So they're a little bit more fair instead of the credit-feeding nature of the arcade games. Now, except for the final boss battle, which is cheap as hell, Shredder can kill you in one hit with his demutagen.
I mean, he can, but that's a heavily telegraphed attack. Like, you're supposed to be able to avoid that.
Yeah, well, still, sucks. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project. This is a completely original beat-em-up game that was made for the NES at the end of the NES's life. This game is really good. It's a lot of fun. I really love it. It is the unsung game of all of these, probably. It's a lot of fun. The music's great. It looks great. It plays a lot like the Turtles 2, the arcade game, but it has its own unique sprites and environments, and it's just a really fun game. Really good. And it's also pretty pricey these days because it's a late Konami NES release that people seek out. So I'm glad that it's getting a re-release. I don't think this game has ever gotten a re-release, so that's really cool. Turtles 1 did get a Wii virtual console release, but I don't think Turtles 2 I think might have as well, but 3 did not. Definitely did not. So this is a treat. Also, this is a treat. So I guess I'll bring up all of these at once, but not only are we getting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, but we're getting all 3 versions of it, which is insane.
Number 1, I can't believe somebody remembered and cared about the Genesis version because nobody talks about that one.
Or the
and
NES
then there's the
version,
NES
honestly.
one, which no one even knows exists.
Yeah. The NES version is a very rare title. It's one of those titles that I've only seen a couple times in my travels in collecting over the years, and it's even I collected Konami games. It's like one of the very few Konami games that I don't own from this era, and I don't think I ever will because it's well over $100 now. But there aren't very many fighting games for the NES. I guess for good reason. I mean, it's the kind of system that can't really handle much. Where there's like Karate Champ, Joy Mech Fight, which is Famicom only. That one's actually really good. Urban Champion, which is is Urban Champion, and this game. And so it's really interesting that it's one of the very few fighting games on the system. It's not a particularly super compelling one, but it's not a bad game either. And it's also a late release on the system, so it's pretty impressive. So it's great that the NES version is there, and of course the Super NES version is on here, and that is considered one of the best original fighting games on the Super NES. Like, a lot of people really love it, especially nowadays. It's gotten some traction. So I'm really glad that it's on here, and it's on here with online multiplayer, which is amazing. I think almost all these games have the arcade games and the fighting games have online multiplayer, I think. So that's really awesome. And the Genesis version of Tournament Fighters is on here. It's not as good as the SNES one, but it does have a unique fighter, I believe.
It has Sisyphus, which is just like, what? But also you can play as April, which is kind of novel, because you conspicuously could not. In the Super Nintendo one, you played as an April analog called Asuka.
Yeah, I do remember that. Who is people guess that she's meant to be a stand-in for the female character in like the movie Turtles in Time, the third one. Yeah.
Good move calling back to that movie.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, really interesting stuff. Tournament Fighters is kind of has its own cult fighting game community. So this is definitely like this is up there with like Gundam Wing and Endless Waltz as one of the better fighting games for the system that isn't Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat. And they were a dime a dozen back then. I don't know if anybody remembers how many like one-on-one fighting games there were for the 16-bit era, but there were tons, and most of them were bad. Like, a lot of them were just not worth your time. I mean, there's the Double Dragon game that was awful. Like, there's just like a lot of really bad
Balls 3D.
Rise of the Robots.
God, yeah. What a cool
Fighter.
cover and what a terrible game.
I mean, Clay Fighter is novel in some ways, but it's not good.
Brutal Battle, Survival Arts.
Yeah, there's tons of them. Pit Fighter,
Clay Fighter 2.
Yeah. Judgment Clay.
What was that game? Body Blows. I don't know if that was considered bad or not.
There's actually just tons of them. I mean, there was a Brutal Paws of Fury. There's just like billions of them, and barely any of them were good. So this is a standout title. The Power Rangers fighting game is actually pretty good too, but that's besides the point. I'm just glad that this one's on here because it's a standout title, and all the versions are on here for you to academically take a look. So that's really, really awesome. Also, the Super NES version of Turtles in Time, which to me is probably a top 5 game for the Super NES, and that's saying a lot. This Super NES is a wonderful system with a wonderful catalog that stood the test of time, and Turtles in Time is probably my favorite beat 'em up on the system. It's really fucking good. I think the music is better in the Super NES version. The controls are definitely better. The only thing that it doesn't have going for it is that it is 2-player instead of 4-player. However, the game is much more complex. It has several levels that are unique. And several bosses that are unique.
Yeah, the Mode 7 boss where you throw characters into the foot soldiers into the screen.
That's like one of the most inventive fighting game bosses in all of fighting games or beat 'em up games. It is one of the most inventive beat 'em up bosses. It's really, really good. In hard mode, you have to really know what you're doing in order to damage him, because the foot soldiers block regular attacks. You actually have to tackle them first to throw them, and you need to know how to trigger the tackle. Turtles in Time, that also has like a one-on-one fighting mini game in it as well. It is just fantastic. It's also one of the best examples of Konami 16-bit music. I can't think
very good.
Too many better soundtracks on the system, other than, you have ActRaiser in the Final Fantasy games, which are kind of cheating because they're just so fucking good. But this game is way up there as well. Just amazing. This is one of the best games of all time. I really love this version. The arcade version is good too, but if you play them both, you'll understand why. The SNES version is a higher level play game. It rewards your skill a lot better than the arcade version does. So I'm really excited for that. And its long lost sister game, Hyperstone Heist, is on here as well, and that's amazing that they were able to put this one on here. This is the game that always kind of gets the shaft, because it's kind of a port of Turtles in Time and kind of not. It has a lot of unique content, but it plays like it and uses the same sprites. And it does have some stuff in common, but it has a different storyline. It's kind of an interesting game. It's almost like it's like an expansion pack of Turtles in Time, but it doesn't look as good because it's on the Genesis instead of the Super Nintendo.
And you sacrifice the Mode 7 boss, but you gain Tatsu.
Yeah, it has unique content, which is really cool. This is a good game that gets overlooked a lot. So it's kind of like one of those, like, hey, if you wish there were more good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle beat 'em ups, this is one to go to. It's along there with Manhattan Project. It's really good. There's not a bad game on here, honestly. There's just sort of good stuff.
And surprise, there's also the Game Boy titles.
Yeah, all three of them. Which
I really didn't expect
amazing.
that.
Yeah. So Fall the Foot Clan is on the simple side. I beat this one a lot when I was a little kid. But it has some cool mini games and stuff, and has good music. Back from the Sewers is a better game. And a little bit more complex, but the real star of the show here is Radical Rescue, which I think is pretty expensive these days. But yeah, Radical Rescue is really interesting because it's basically a Metroidvania. You start off with, I think, Michelangelo, and you have to rescue the rest of the turtles, who all have different abilities that will help you get through the contiguous world differently.
Does Leonardo give you the ability to be a wet blanket?
I don't know. I forget what their abilities are, but that's really a standout title. It is one of those games that, unless you're into Game Boy games, this is like a really good standout Game Boy game. So, wow, this is wonderful. It's being ported by Digital Eclipse, so you know it'll be good. They're the people who came out with the SNK 25th anniversary collection, or 35th anniversary collection, I forget. I think it was 35th anniversary collection, and also the Disney collection recently. The one with Lion King and Jungle Book and Aladdin on it.
Yeah, Aladdin. Yeah.
So it will be handled well. And it is coming out for all the platforms, basically. I can't think of anything that it's not on. So, I'm super excited. They've also promised physical versions of this are up for pre-order as well. So, I'm very excited about this, if you can't tell. This, of course, was a rights nightmare that looks like they sorted everything out. I'm very surprised and very delighted. So I'm very, very, very happy with this collection. Gigabash is the next thing that was in state of play. This was kind of a 4-on-4 kaiju battle game, which is kind of cool. I'll let you handle this one, Lotus. This is all you.
This was a genuine surprise. Remember that time there was a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game exclusive to the PS3, and it's pretty expensive if you want a physical American version, because that was only released via Amazon and GameStop, and I don't know how many people went for it, so now it's a little harder to find. It was honestly cheaper to get the Japanese collector's edition than the American version, which never even had a collector's edition. But,
yeah, and it was only like $40 when it launched. So,
well, yeah, because who knows what this game
other
is? Than
me and you.
Yeah, well, because
at the time.
Well, this was pre-anime, so who was gonna buy this? By this point, I was a JoJo fan. I missed out on the PlayStation 1 game because I didn't know JoJo back then, but I did in All-Star Battle, but a lot of people still didn't because the anime didn't come out until 2012. But
yeah, my
All-Star
introduction
Battle,
was the PS1 Dreamcast game.
But we're getting JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R, which is going to have all the DLC on the in one package, which is nice because half the game's cast was DLC. It was released piecemeal. And there's going to be, I think it was 9 new characters, and I saw the trailer, and I don't think any of those characters was revealed, so I have no idea who they are. But let me tell you, there's room. In Phantom Blood, there's Jonathan, there's Zeppeli, and there's Dio. That's it. In Part 2, there's Joseph, Caesar, and the 3 Pillar Men, and then Lisa as DLC. Lisa as DLC. That's better. That's 6 characters. It's 5, but then it's 6, right? Part 3, there's a bunch. Part 4, there's a bunch. Part 5, there's a bunch. Part 6, there's 3 characters. Part 7, there's 3 characters. Part 8, there's 1, because I think when the game
do you get to be Dio with a dinosaur?
No.
Oh, why?
I know.
It's the coolest one.
I mean, he's in Eyes of Heaven if you want to play PS4, but I mean, maybe he'll be in the new game. I don't know. But in Part 8, when this game came out, only 1 or 2 chapters of Part 8 existed. So there's Josuke. That's it. And the stage hazard on his level is Joshu running at you with a brick. That is Chapter 1. It has been a decade, and Part 8 is finally completely out, so maybe they'll have more with that. Also, I think the voice actors are being updated to correspond to the anime.
Oh, cool.
So Kira is going to sound different. Polnareff is no longer going to be voiced by Sanji from One Piece. So that's just kind of an interesting quirk.
I heard 50 characters in total, playable characters. That's bananas.
Yeah, All-Star Battle did have a bunch, and it's going to have some more. What I'm curious about is whether they took care of some of the... I don't know if censorship is the right word, but you have a pose gallery and a quote that you have quotes that you could put on your character when you win a fight. You could unlock quotes. And in the Japanese version, it would tell you this is from this volume, this issue of Shonen Jump. And in the American version, it just wouldn't tell you that because we don't have Shonen Jump. It'll just be this is from somewhere. So I wonder if they restored that. I hope they did.
They might even say from what part and what chapter it is, because they are releasing Jojo
at this point we're actually getting the manga here, which I can't even believe. So maybe they will tell us, but even so, some of the alternate color stuff is this was from a special cover of something that America still doesn't get. So I'm curious.
Yeah, sometimes it's a magazine or something.
Yeah, and there's also one other thing that I'm wondering if they'll restore, which is actually kind of 2 things. Because you could get wallpapers for your PS3. I have one for Dio and one for Kira. I wonder if that'll be a thing for PS4. I have no idea. But another thing I'm curious about is the Japanese version had an extra color costume for Johnny from Part 7. I don't remember why that didn't make it to America, but there's like one costume that didn't. And also, this was a shock. Jotaro and Polnareff had special costumes that were reminiscent of the cover art of the Capcom fighting game. Not even the game itself, but the cover art. And it's just like, wink, wink, look at that. That's an alternate costume. But America didn't get that. And that would have been nice. Like, Namco gave like a shout out to Capcom. But, yeah, I'm curious as to whether that stuff will be here. And I'm also anticipating the entire internet whining for the second time, now that the game is coming out for a second time. Oh, this game isn't a great fighting game. Why is it only 30 FPS? Like, we had this song and dance a decade ago. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, I think the creator of the game said, this isn't a fighting game. It's a Jojo game. Like, it's a super fan servicey experience. I don't think this was meant for tournament play. But, like, you know how every single time FromSoft releases a new game, why isn't there an easy mode? And it's like, it's been 12 fucking years. Shut the fuck up. Like, it's going to be this for Jojo.
Well, that's really interesting. I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely going to pick this up. Moving on from that, there's Trek to Yomi, which I don't know much about this one. It looks like a violent, violent and horror themed Japanese game. So it looks pretty neat. From what I'm seeing, it's heavily inspired by Akira Kurosawa films, so that's pretty cool. There's going to be a big update to Returnal, which is one of the standout PS5 games at the moment. PS5 exclusives.
Roguelite.
Yeah, roguelite. It is like a third-person shooter roguelite. And it's getting co-op and also new free content, which is pretty cool, called Tower of Sisyphus. Sisyphus is showing up a lot here.
Yeah, I can't believe the Ninja Turtles exclusive Genesis character is coming back on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, it looks like a survival mode. Like you keep going up this tower until it gets harder and harder and harder. So that's pretty cool. And Diofield Chronicle RPG from Square Enix, real-time strategy game, which is it looks pretty interesting, but who knows? Who knows?
It was something else, but it was Dio.
Yeah. Whose field is it? It was mine. Dio's.
And then another Square Enix game, Valkyrie Elysium, a Valkyrie profile game, I think, which is interesting.
Been a while. Been since the PlayStation 2 or PSP.
Yeah, I think the last one was a DS game.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Okay.
Yeah, there was a DS game. And there's been the PSP was a remake of the first game, so
even then, Lenneth,
so I'm willing to take a look at this. It's pretty cool. But that was the last thing I think that they released or they talked about, so we could move on to other stuff here. The House of the Dead remake, it does have a physical edition up on Amazon for pre-order. It is Switch only at the moment, as far as I understand. But I would definitely reserve it because it does come with some limited edition stuff. So I'm pretty excited for that. House of the Dead, in any form, the original game hasn't been ported since the PC a long time ago. So once again, we're big horror game fans as it is. So this is just perfect. I just love that kind of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. And Indiana Jones, the Pinball Adventure, is finally out on Zen Pinball right now. You could buy it right now for $15, I think, which I think is reasonable considering the license involved and all of the likeness rights. So I'm really I downloaded this right away on Switch and it plays great. I really, really love it. This is also considered to be one of the best pinball tables of all time by a lot of people. It's really fun, and it's never been released officially digitally ever because of the likeness rights and the movie rights. So this is something special. A lot of that kind of going on this episode, but it's just awesome. So I'm really happy about that. Also, there was a Chrono Trigger update to the Steam version, which is really interesting.
Yeah, the aspect ratio is like insane now.
Yeah, it was like 21 by
21
9.
by 9.
Yeah, 21 by 9, which is insane.
Yeah, if you want to play Chrono Trigger in a movie theater, then now's your chance.
Yeah. No, it's really crazy. I'm really excited about that. I think that I've already downloaded this, and it's pretty much the best way to play Chrono Trigger, which is great. They also added 1.5 times auto battling speed, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's definitely welcome.
So yeah, and bonus music and art galleries, and improved controls, which is really pretty neat. So this was the update to the Steam and mobile version. Typically, when this kind of stuff happens, when this kind of thing happens, it usually signals that they are thinking about porting it as well. This has never been ported to console. This is except for this is basically the DS version of the game.
Yeah.
But obviously improved in a lot of ways. I don't know why they didn't put this one on console at all. It's kind of weird.
Well, it's already on the PS1. It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah. But
it's like literally the worst version for those of you who don't know.
Yeah. So I hope it does come to Switch and PS4, PS5, and Xbox, because Chrono Trigger is considered by a lot of people to be one of the best of all time. Like, good stuff.
Yeah, it's like the outstanding RPG on the system. That and like the secret European game Terranigma.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff. So let's see here. Moving on.
Cotton, baby, we're back.
Yeah, so the newest Cotton game, Cotton Rock and Roll, is going to be released as Cotton Fantasy here in the United States. The physical is up for pre-order via Einen shop on Amazon, so I'm happy about that. Let's see here. The Chaos Head Chaos Child collection is up for physical pre-order. So that is awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. We talked about this last week, but we've gotten every game and its mother in the Science Adventure series except for the first one, strangely, Chaos Head. And now not only is it coming out, but physically. Yeah,
awesome stuff.
I think it's Switch exclusive physically, unfortunately, but oh well.
Yeah. Steins Gate also got
this is kind of funny.
A new game translated unofficially, a fan translation, but apparently there is an official the game is official. The Steins Gate cross Hello Kitty game it apparently exists, and it got fan translated. So
if you want to go into the deep lore, then now's your chance.
Yeah, really nuts stuff. Yeah, really insane. And this next one is yours, Dracologist, if you'd like to take over here.
Recently we're talking about Iron Lung. It came out recently. I saw basically some simple gameplay of it. It's a small, short, snacky horror game designed by the developer of the game Dusk. And it's you are basically driving a very simple submarine in an ocean of literal blood. As you can imagine, where this kind of game goes with its themes. What I can tell about the game, it's basically it's a first-person controlled game, but you basically interact with interfaces like you would in a point-and-click adventure game, like you push buttons and stuff. And the game's main call is that there is no visual navigation. You entirely rely on coordinates and such. Like you have you have turn buttons, you have forward and backward buttons, and you have a coordinates display that show and a map. So basically, good luck navigating. And you have to, and you are basically tasked to find spots on this rather eldritch area and find areas to like find spots to photograph. Doesn't sounds hard, isn't it?
Yeah, no visual navigation, but you gotta photograph stuff. That sounds pretty intense, actually.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy. Well, moving on from that, the Mr. FPGA project is getting Guncon 3 support, which is pretty cool. There's a beta going on for it, but it looks like it works pretty darn well. So for those of you that don't know, the Mr. project is a FPGA, like fan-made kind of thing, where you kind of put a setup together and you could access all these fan-made cores that run really, really darn well. They're emulation, but in not in like a hardware emulation sort of way. Much more accurate than software emulation, generally speaking. So it is pretty darn awesome, but they haven't had many good solutions for, I guess, light gun games. There have been some, like you can hook up a Wii remote or a mouse. But the Guncon 3, for those of you that don't know, was a very lightly supported peripheral for the PlayStation 3 that did work kind of like a Wiimote, but it was gun-shaped, so it's a little bit better in terms of that for those types of games. What was that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like if you remember, like the Nintendo Wii had some accessories that you could put the Wiimote into that was like gun shaped.
Yeah.
So it's like now I kind of have a gun. So the Guncon 3 was like that, but it was naturally gun shaped because of course you're going to use it for light gun games. But then it only worked on like 2 games or something, and then they moved on to the PS Move.
Well, not only that, it was 2 games, but one of them was like a crossover on the 2 games. So it worked for Time Crisis 4, and then the Crisis Zone collection, which had Crisis Zone, Time Crisis 4 on it again, and Dead
a slightly
Storm
different
Pirates.
version of it. Yeah, and Dreadstorm Pirates.
Yeah, Dreadstorm Pirates. Now, the Time Crisis 4 standalone version was more complete. It had more modes and like a first player arrange mode that was like really the reason to play it. But it's barely two releases, if you want to call it.
Yeah, it's like 1.5 games.
But I'm one of the few crazy people that own 2 of them.
Yeah, I actually own both versions. I don't have a Guncon 3, but I have both Time Crisis 4s.
Yeah, I own 2 Guncon 3s. So I'm happy about this development. This is pretty cool. So I'm very happy about that. And I hope it ends up being like officially included in all the releases and all that stuff, and they get the bugs out of it, because it'd be pretty cool to play some like arcade games with that kind of natural feeling kind of thing. I'm very happy about that. I'm excited. Now next thing on here is Deadpool 3 has a director, which is pretty cool. So a lot of people were worried about the Deadpool franchise because it is a rated R, decidedly rated R franchise. It's pretty darn foul when it comes to how dirty it is, and now Deadpool is no longer produced by Fox. Like it had been, because it was kind of tangentially related to the X-Men franchise, the Fox one, and now all of that Fox property stuff has been folded back into Marvel, via Disney. So a lot of people were thinking, oh, what's going to happen now? Well, now that Disney's merging like all the universes, which is pretty darn cool, and they've done it in a very cool way. What was that?
Sorry, it's just my regular doubt on the whole thing, but carry on, please.
But yeah, everybody was worried because they have never done a rated R Marvel movie. Like Marvel has never done one. They've never gotten past PG-13. So I don't know whether they're going to consider it an MCU movie or what. This is going to be new territory for them. I
heard it was going to be part of the MCU.
So if that's the case, they'll probably release it on Hulu, like as time goes on, because like Disney Plus is very decidedly like family friendly. So Hulu's where they put all of their kind of raunchier stuff, like Family Guy and things like that. They put Simpsons on both. So I would think that they would they have some kind of like they have a MODOK show starring Patton Oswalt that's kind of has some like Adult Swim humor. So I would, and they put that on Hulu, so that'll track with that. So I'm pretty excited. So Shawn Levy is going to be the director. Let me see what he. Let me see here. What his he's been involved with Stranger Things and Free Guy. Okay, so Free Guy also was Disney produced and with Ryan Reynolds in it. So Free Guy was actually pretty darn good. So I'm optimistic for this new project because I do like Deadpool 1 and 2. So I'm happy about this. Ryan Reynolds is of course at the forefront of it, and he really owns the character. I don't think anybody. It's kind of like Hugh Jackman. Like he kind of just embodies the role and owns it. So it's pretty awesome. And kind of another MCU related news item, which is a bummer. William Hurt has passed away. Just a last thing here. He is best known for his performance in History of Violence. He won an Oscar for it. Viggo Mortensen movie based on a comic. A lot of people don't realize that was based on a comic, actually. But, yeah, a very, very great performance. Really, he was, like, acting to the nines in it. And he's also known for a lot of, like, 80s thrillers and things like that as well. But he might be best known to modern audiences as Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU universe. He's been in, three or four movies. The Avengers movies, and he was originally in the Ed Norton Hulk movie. Really a bummer. He was 71. They say he passed away of natural causes. So take what you will.
Well, yeah, like what does that mean? He wasn't murdered? Like, of course, it was natural causes.
Yeah, I don't. His family wants to be private about it. Sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely iconic in a lot of his roles. He was great as Thunderbolt Ross, and it's a shame, of course, that he passed, and we won't get to see him, take on being Red Hulk, which would be interesting. But I don't know if people know that or not. But Thunderbolt Ross is the Red Hulk in the comics. Big bummer, and I didn't know he was sick or anything like that. So I don't know how sudden it was, but. It seems like his family is keeping it quiet. So, anything else for the good of the order, gentlemen?
I think I'm good on my end.
Not much.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good.
So that's the show for this week. We want to remember. We want please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us 5-star ratings on iTunes. And it helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, where we will be doing a catch-up on what we've been playing lately and reading and all that jazz. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, I actually just announced the first Soul Reaver game. Get ready for that.
Neat.
Interested in seeing my videos early like that, getting on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, including the aforementioned Soul Reaver, and getting conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon accounts, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me on Skype and Discord under the name Dracologist.
Okay, wonderful. We will catch everybody on Thursday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Good evening.